So Amazon Prime Day is fast approaching and yeah, well, it's not really a day anymore. It's pretty much from July 8th to the July 14th, but there are a ton of incredible deals that we need to talk about. And finally got my hands on this tripod. We got so much to get through. But this video is sponsored by SmallRig, so this is going to be a bit of an overview, but I've actually done full reviews on some of these products in the past, but some of them, like this, it's first time using. So if you have been living under a rock and you don't know what Amazon Prime Day, essentially Amazon has this massive deal where they slash prices off, 20, 30, 40% off on a lot of products. And if you are an Amazon user, this is amazing because we get products literally like the next day. That is the greatest thing about being a filmmaker and wanting something straight away for a job literally the next day. So the first one we're going to be talking about is the VB99 SE. Now, I don't actually have this version. I've actually got the standard VB99 and the VB212. I've done full reviews of those if you want to check those ones out. But this one is pretty much a stripped down version. It pretty much gives you the same, one less port at the top, but it is a little bit cheaper. So if you do want to go that cheaper route, you can definitely get the VB99 SE, or you can get the VB99 Pro, which gives you one extra USB-C port at the top. But also one of the key reasons why you would get the VB99 Pro is a slightly higher wattage input in. You've got 100 watts power maximum in on that USB-C, whereas the VB99 SE only has 65 watts of maximum power in, so it charges a little bit slower. But then also you get a little bit more power out of the D-tap port of the VB99 Pro. Now, one of the great things about these newer V-mount batteries, essentially you can power these directly into the USB-C port. Now, previously, back in my day, you actually had to have a V-mount battery charger, which literally only took 2 V-mount batteries. Sometimes you can actually get one that has 4 different plates, but some of them don't actually charge as fast as these USB-Cs. And look, don't get me wrong, I still use my V-mount battery charger, but look how bulky this is. Literally all you need is a USB-C cord and you can go directly into these V-mount batteries. So if you are traveling, you don't even have to take this. That is an absolute game changer. But when I'm in the studio, I still utilize this anyway. And obviously, if you do want a little bit more juice, the VB212 is going to get you there. It's got 2 D-taps on the side, so one each side, and then pretty much the same ports as the VB99 Pro battery at the top. So the next one I'm going to be talking about, and the one I'm actually excited about, is the cage for the FX3. Now, this is an incredible cage. I do actually use the exact same cage on my Sony a7 IV. I've been using that literally ever since I got it because it's really well designed, ton of NATO rail options, and then obviously at the bottom you do have that Arca-Swiss plate. And pretty much my whole flow when it comes to putting on tripods and what I've got it on right now is all Arca-Swiss. And the FX30 cage is pretty much the same. Now, this is the Pro version. There are actually 2 different versions where you don't actually get this top handle extension. This is really good if you do actually utilize that top handle because it makes it a bit of a loop, and that just makes it so much easier to hold. It's not going to slip out of your hand really easy, but it also extends the top size of that handle, and that will allow you to mount a whole bunch of other accessories like a video transmitter, a monitor a little bit differently, but then also my POV mount as well that I generally have. It's just further away from the monitor and allows me to obviously get those POV shots that you guys see. Now, obviously a great thing about this one is that it doesn't cover that tally light. Now, there are a couple other brands that have covered the tally light in the past, but this one doesn't cover it. You've got a cold shoe mount and just a ton of different mounting points and NATO rails on the side. Super handy to have. And also, if you do actually utilize the handle, you have this sort of nice little strap here on the side, so it's not going to be falling out of your hand. I actually utilize this obviously on my FX6. That comes standard with the FX6. It's really nice if you actually utilize the camera like this, shooting like this up here. It's just not going to fall out of your hand. So, whether you have that or not, you can choose to put that on or obviously not have it on. Now, the great thing about the top here is actually NATO rail, so you can obviously put a whole bunch of NATO rail magic arms and attach your monitor and a whole bunch of accessories up here, which is really cool. Now, the cage does actually come with a HDMI clamp. Whether you use that or not, it's purely personal preference. Obviously, a HDMI clamp is just going to make it nice and sturdy, so the HDMI is not going to get yanked out if it accidentally gets caught on something. But I mean, tuck your cables in as best as you can anyway. Now you can see here at the bottom, I've actually got a Vmount plate. And if you do want to build out your camera, you can utilize that. And obviously if you don't want to get all those, larger cinema rig things, and this one is just completely basic. You've got a whole bunch of ports on the battery itself, which you can power your accessories. You don't necessarily need those ones that have the DTAP ports or powers actually on the V-mount plate. This is just a dummy plate, which is clean, it's nice, and it's simple. It's very thin, and it just keeps it really light. Some of those other ones just make it a little bit too heavy, but if heavy is what you're after, go for the other ones. If light, compact's what you're after, slightly built out, then this is the way to go. Now, when it comes to the mounting points at the bottom, you got 2 quarter 20 mounts and a 3/8 mount at the bottom, but it also does come with an Arca-Swiss plate that you can actually, detach and have that on there. Really depends on what kind of tripod you're actually utilizing or rig you're going to be attaching this to, but I generally just have this off, so it's just nice and smooth because most of the time I'm using this, it's just run and gun work, not actually throwing it on a tripod. Now, if you do want to pack this away, I don't know if you've seen these ones before, but loosen this up and it actually swivels out of the way, which is quite nice. Tuck it in and then tilt it back and it sort of locks into place. It's just really nice that it's quite quick. Now, you do actually have a quick release plate as well that you can actually utilize at the bottom of this if you don't want this whole cage system. But essentially the design of this anyway, it's kind of like a quick release plate. You literally just undo the buckle, slide it off, and you're away to go with just a smaller rig. Now, this next one I've actually been seeing absolutely everywhere. Essentially, this is a 10-watt little flashlight, and this is pretty incredible because you can actually project a whole bunch of shapes onto the wall with this small thing. Generally, you'd have to have, a larger cob light, attached to obviously a light mount, and then you have a GoPro or a projector on front with a whole bunch of these shapes. But now you can actually just utilize this and it works perfectly fine. There are 4 different colors. You've literally got 5600 Kelvin, you've got yellow, red, and blue. And then obviously you can spot it or flood it. So make it really nice and projected, nice and, sharp, or make it a larger shape. But these are really good just to project shapes onto the wall, just for a little bit of visual interest, or even if you're doing some close-up macro photography or just tight shots, you can utilize this as like, say, a sunset or something. Just gives you a little bit more flexibility when it comes to lighting, and it's just such a nice and small compact setup. Now, you can see here when it comes to attaching this, it's literally just a piece of rubber that fits directly onto the front. Then you can put the shape directly in there, but you can pack down quite small. It's nice, simple rubber. It's not going to break, which is great. I do like how it is rubber. It's just easier, obviously, to pack away. And yeah, you get a ton of different shapes. Nice and simple. There you go. Little shape on the background. You can literally hide that over here so you guys can't actually see it. Hey, look, there's a window in the background because of that. Nice and simple, 10 watts, just enough power where it's going to give a little bit of a splash of something, a little bit of visual interest. So that's quite nice to have. Now, talking about lights, I've actually done a full review of this one. This is the RC60B. Now, this actually has a battery inside, so that is really handy if you want just a really small hair light. But this thing is also bicolor, so you can go 5600 Kelvin. You could also go all the way down to 3200 Kelvin if you want some nice sort of warm tungsten lighting. Just gives you so much flexibility in such a small package. Now, it also does a whole bunch of effects as well. Just like you see in a lot of those small sort of LED panels, this one pretty much does it all. Plus, like I said, it's got inbuilt batteries. So you're going to be able to put this in a whole bunch of different mounting situations if you can't actually get power. But it does come with a really, really long USB-C cable that you can actually power it through that USB-C. And then obviously to a Vmount battery, one of those, 99 watt hour Vmounts or the 212, and you can pretty much just attach it to the light stand. Or it does actually come with this battery clamp at the back. So essentially you can clamp this directly on and then literally just clamp a battery on the back here. Very, very small battery. You can even put one of those VB99 Pro batteries on the back here or the SE and then power it through that. Now, before we get into the Tribex tripod, I do want to talk about this magic arm that I've been using quite extensively. Now, this is pretty much what attaches my ZV-E1 to all my cameras that gets me that POV rig. Now, this is probably the best magic arm I've used. I can really over crank it, make it super tight, and it will stick really well. Both ends have that quarter 20 screw, but then also has the RE locating pins as well, so it won't pivot around if you have a spot for RE locating pins. I just really like this magic arm and I highly recommend this one.
And then also these cable clamps. Now I love utilizing these cable clamps. It keeps all my FX6 cables nice and tucked away, nice and tidy, all clumped together. It's a full metal design and it's spring loaded and it attaches just with one 1/4-20 screw, which is just enough to keep all your cables nice and tidy. Highly recommend these as well.
Now lastly, this is my favorite. This is the Tribex tripod. Now essentially, this is in collaboration with Potato Jet. Absolutely incredible. I've been seeing it everywhere and I've wanted one myself and finally I've got one. It is actually as good as they say. Like, it's so fast to actually adjust the height. If you do want to actually try to use that, bubble and try to make it nice and level, if you're putting it on uneven surfaces, it just makes it so much faster than trying to undo the legs. Sometimes those quick release legs are really nice, but this is literally just a little handle that you squeeze and then adjust the height, bring it back in, pack down. So simple. I hate saying it, but it's an absolute game changer when it comes to speed and versatility, when it comes to outdoor shooting. Just amazing. And you can also see here at the standard height, I'm 6'4". Now this is coming pretty much at the top of my chest, so it's a pretty tall tripod. And then you actually have this pole here. There we go. And that pretty much makes it maybe just over 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". That's a pretty tall tripod. And also talking about the fluid head on this, it's really, really smooth. I absolutely love it, but there's also a counterweight as well. If you guys don't actually utilize counterweights and you have larger cameras, then what are you doing? Counterweights are impressive because if you actually want to tilt your camera in a very specific position, you want it to stay there. You don't want it to bounce back or fall completely forward. The counterweight system actually makes it stay in that very particular spot, just gives you so much more control over your tripod. So yeah, Amazon Prime, July 8th to July 14th, there's a ton of deals to be got, and I'll definitely be on there trying to get a whole bunch of things that I've wanted to, a couple of magic arms and clamps and all those kind of small things that we always need a ton of. This is the best time to actually get it. So thanks for watching, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video, and obviously thanks to SmallRig for sponsoring this video, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's get it.